Hey guys, it's another Storytime Tuesday. Okay, so I did a video about the guy that I dated while I was in college, and I wanted to make a video talking about some of the fun that I had in college because it wasn't all bad. Okay, so I went out of state for college, and may not have been the brightest of ideas I've had. I am very shy. I have a very hard time making friends because I don't really know how to talk to people, like to break the ice kind of thing. Okay, so I need to explain just exactly how the dorm that I lived in was set up because it wasn't your traditional style of dorm. The way it was more like an apartment. The school called them suites. And you had a living room and your own little, like, more or less private bathroom because it was just for the people that lived in that particular suite. And then there were 4 bedrooms. Each bedroom was supposed to have 2 girls in it. I ended up not having a roommate after about a month in because the girl I was rooming with had made really good friends with somebody else who didn't have a roommate, and they decided they wanted to be roommates. About 4 months in, maybe? Might have been even less. One of the other girls was having problems with her roommate, and it wasn't just her, it was all of us were having an issue with her roommate. So her roommate ended up getting swapped out. So 2 of us had our own room, and then there were 2 other ones that had 2 girls. You had 2 bedrooms that were off the living room, and then there were 2 bedrooms like across from the bathroom and shower area. All but 2 of the people in this little group were complete strangers. The girls that lived in the first dorm room off the living room, they actually had been friends in high school. Then it was mine, and I was alone. Then there was another one right after me, and those 2 girls were very, very close. And then there was the last one. And like I said, the girl that was there, her roommate and her, it was not working out. That girl was not compatible with any of us. So she ended up having her own room very quickly. But to start, it was not like that. So we all move in, and only 2 people knew each other. So a bunch of strangers. And the second night we were there, we are going to call this person Sunshine. She lived at the very end. She was the last dorm. And Sunshine just comes busting out of her dorm room and says something like, "Hey everybody, let's go and explore this campus." Sunshine and I have been friends ever since that day. And she kind of just broke the ice for everybody. She gathered us all up, we went exploring the campus, had a great time, we very quickly bonded, and from that point on, we kind of did mostly everything together. Like, we'd go to meals together. If any one of us had to go and do something, there was always at least one of us there. So that's how we all, made friends. And outside of that one particular girl, the school did a great job matching us up on personalities. We were all very different, but not so different that we couldn't get along. Now, across the hall from us, there was same type of setup. Instead of it being all girls, it was all boys across the hall from us. We very quickly hit it off with them. I don't really remember how exactly we started interacting with them, because this is going back quite a while for me. But we adopted them like they were brothers. So, we've got this lovely brother and sister relationship going on with the guys across the hall. The floor resident advisor also lived in that group, which was nice because he kind of would turn a blind eye when we were doing something that we probably shouldn't do. Sometimes he would just turn a blind eye to it because he was like, you know what, I like you guys, you're probably not gonna do something that's too bad. And that was great. So we got the guys across the hall. At one point, somebody started a prank war between a couple of the girls that I lived with and the guys across the hall. Don't know who started it. It was very fun to observe. One of my favorite pranks that I got to watch was when one of the guys from across the hall came over with a whole bowl full of that powdered sugar, and he just waited for one of my roommates to get out of the shower. He just stood there. He waited for a good 10 minutes probably with this bowl. As soon as the shower turned off, he runs in, throws this bowl over the shower curtain, and this poor girl is soaking wet, and now she's got this stuff all over her. She wasn't happy at the time. I really hope looking back on it, she laughs, because I thought it was very funny at the time, and it is definitely one of those things that is funny when it happens to somebody other than yourself. But her retaliation on that, I ended up, getting dragged into somehow. I don't know how she managed to get me to agree to this. We ended up going into all of the other suites and collecting their, cans out of their recycle bins. And nobody knew we were doing this because we were doing it in the middle of the night when everybody in the building was asleep. We were setting an alarm to get up to go do this. When we felt we had a sufficient amount of cans, we took them across the hall. As quiet as you can possibly be with a whole bunch of empty cans. And we had some plastic wrap. That stuff that you are supposed to use when you have stuff that needs to be wrapped up, and all it does is basically stick to itself. So the reason that we had the plastic wrap was to put it in front of the soda cans, so when they opened their door, the cans had nowhere to fall but on them. And we start stacking them up in front of this guy's door. And we're stacking and we're stacking. And we get about halfway up the door, and the cans all start falling down. So we take off. Because, like I said, the floor's resident advisor lives in this same cluster of, bedrooms. If he's in there, there's no way we didn't just wake him up. So we take off because he's going to be mad at us and we don't want that. And, we wait a little while and we hear absolutely no movement whatsoever going on over there. So we're like, well, maybe the guys in that room are really heavy sleepers. Maybe they're all just really heavy sleepers. So we tiptoe our way back over, and we start stacking the cans again. And we get bored of doing this, so we stop when we're about halfway up. And we had also managed to get our hands on some of those little party poppers, the tiny ones that have the little string, you pull them, it goes pop, and some confetti and streamers fly out of it. And we decided we were gonna kind of tie that to the doorknob, so when they opened the door, it would go off. So we do this, and we leave. And we go back, and we're all proud of ourselves. We're like, yeah, we did it! The next morning when they came over, we asked them, how was your morning? And they turned around, the two guys in that room looked at us and said, you mean the soda cans you stacked up out in front of our door? And we're like, what do you mean? Apparently they had heard us come over the first time, and they heard the soda cans fall. They heard us come back, and they heard us messing around with their doorknob. So they were very cautious about opening their door in the morning, saw that there was something tied to the doorknob, grabbed something to cut it with. So that was ruined. And they already knew the soda cans were there. So it's not like the cans fell on them or anything. So we failed. We tried, but we failed. The guys across the hall were like brothers. We really did everything together. We were all so comfortable with one another that they would come over to our suite, and if one of us was going to take a shower, you know how a lot of times in the privacy of your home, you'll walk around with nothing but a towel on? We would do that with them there and think nothing of it. They would actually come over right after they'd get out of the shower, and they'd be wearing nothing but a towel. So, we were very comfortable with one another. At one point, we ended up going across the hall and cleaning their suite because it was disgusting and dirty and gross. And I don't think any of them ever cleaned it. And that's why we always hung out in our suite. We used to throw little mini parties. It was usually just the girls from my suite and I and the guys from across the hall. But we'd have little mini parties. Sometimes we would invite, other people from the dorms and, just people we knew. We didn't want to make things get too crazy, especially since, we lived in a dry dorm building. There wasn't a whole lot you could do. So there were no crazy college parties happening there. But we used to go around the building and be like, hey, this weekend we're throwing a little get together, and we'd take grocery shopping trips and get, party supplies. Or sometimes on a Friday night, there was a deli in town. We'd go down to the deli, pick up a bunch of food, come back, and we'd have movie nights with, us and our brothers from across the hall, basically. One night, me and a couple of the girls got this great idea. You know what's fun? Being sugar high. You know what's an easy way to get sugar high? Pixie sticks! So we decided one night we were gonna get a bunch of pixie sticks. Each one of us got a package, and we would consume as many of them as we possibly could. I really don't remember how crazy we were on that sugar high. I remember crashing. I don't think I've had another pixie stick since this happened. Yeah, we were so sugar high that when we crashed, it actually made us all feel sick. And we had gone up to the school's soccer field at like, I don't know, probably 11 o'clock at night, something like that. And we were just up there with a soccer ball, playing around, goofing off, you know, having a good time. And when the crash off that sugar high hit, we all were just like, I don't feel so good, and we ended up having to sit down because it was that bad. Yeah, learned a lesson about consuming large amounts of sugar like that. So we used to go shopping together, a lot too. We would go to the local grocery store at like midnight, and I feel bad for the staff there, looking back on this. When you go to a store at midnight, there's usually not a lot of people in it. You know how you're not supposed to put people in the back part of the grocery cart where, you know, you put your groceries? We used to generally have more than one cart, and somebody would be in the back of each cart, and we would literally just race up and down the aisles with them. I'm glad there wasn't, like, any customers in the store, because, you know, they would have been annoyed probably. But looking back on it, the poor staff must have been so frustrated and annoyed with us. I've been on the receiving end of stuff like that. I worked at a place that was open 24/7, and it was in a college town, and it was the closest 24/7 store to that college. So I know what it's like now. I feel very bad about having done this. It was really funny at the time, but as an adult looking back on it, I do feel bad for the poor staff that I was tormenting with my friends. So if you are one of those poor staff members watching this video and you happen to remember me, I am so sorry. So for Christmas, because we were all so very close, we ended up planning, just the girls and I, a incredibly nice little Christmas dinner right before we would go away for break. And we had also done the Secret Santa thing, which was fun, because, you know, why not? We're trying to pretend we're grown-ups here. So we have to be mature about this. So we did Secret Santa, and we planned a very nice dinner, and we all went out to dinner and exchanged gifts, and, you know, told each other how much we were going to miss each other over the break. It was lovely. So, what's a fun activity to do at Christmas time? Christmas caroling. My friends and I decided we were going to go Christmas caroling. We decided we were going to go Christmas caroling on campus. The dorm buildings were all very secure. In order to get into a dorm building, you had to have an ID badge, and your ID badge would only let you into the dorm building that you lived in. So we had to figure out how we were going to get into all these buildings. I'm pretty sure we just ended up calling random numbers and asking if they would let us in to go caroling in the building, and it worked because we got into every single building. We went Christmas caroling. We were laughed at by most people. We thought it was awesome. My college was also haunted. I'm not gonna get too into that because I've got a whole other video I'll be doing on that. When it's available, I will make sure there's a link somewhere for it. But the whole campus was haunted. Each building had its own ghost story. A lot of them I don't think were really true. I'm pretty sure one of the buildings really was haunted just based on what I had experienced personally. Okay, so that's it for this week's video. I hope it, sheds a little more light that my college experience wasn't all awful. I did have a lot of fun. I met some amazing people while I was there. Sunshine and I are still very, very good friends to this day. I've lost touch with most of the people that I made friends with then, which is very unfortunate. I've got a couple of them on Facebook, so we can see what's going on in each other's lives, but we don't really talk at all. So, the only thing I can say about college is have fun. Don't be too annoying to people. I get you're young and trying to have a good time, but try and be considerate. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!